Jeff Peterson here with the Slingshot Principles. Wanted to take some time to have a bit of a longer conversation today. I've had some questions come through, so this is more of a educational, longer discussion point with regards to the Slingshot Principles, and specifically the 4 phases of the Slingshot Principles, and how important it is to understand those. I'm going to share some stories, going to share some background of the process and the thoughts behind it, and why it works. So as you listen in, this is more of like an educational piece, an understanding and a background of it, and then some real life examples from me, and then applicability for those who are listening. So the 4 phases of the Slingshot Principles is phase 1 is the pullback phase. Phase 2 is the the alignment phase. Phase 3 is the launch, which is probably one of the most fun to watch. And then the last phase is the exponential phase. As we go through these, they obviously build on each other. Some are important. It's important to see that there's a connection between specifically the pullback and the alignment. Those two kind of sit hand in hand. And so we'll talk about those almost somewhat interchangeably. First of all, what is the pullback phase? What is this phase 1? And the background here is that medical school, so undergraduate, medical school, and then residency are long. I'm an orthopedic surgeon by trade. That's what I do. I've done it in Middle Tennessee. I've practiced orthopedics in Middle Tennessee for 16 years. Lived in the same house for that time frame. Lived in the same town for that time frame. I practiced at multiple different facilities. And to get to where I'm at from an orthopedic standpoint, the training is long. It's 13 years. And that's without a fellowship. And so I practice general orthopedics with a heavy focus on total joint replacement, so adult reconstruction, and some sports medicine, some trauma still. Slingshot Principles began when my wife Julie and I were in residency together with all of our kids. And there's a story there. If you look at some of the other blog posts and vlog posts, we talk about that. But it just felt like we were never getting further ahead. It felt like it was forever. It felt like we were never going to get to the end of this. It just 13 years felt like forever. And in that circumstance, my wife were laying in bed one night and she said, this is like the slingshot. This is like a slingshot. And so the pullback is that part of the slingshot where, those of you who have seen a slingshot, you understand the principle is, it feels like you're going the wrong direction. Here's the slingshot, it's 2 posts here with basically an elastic band that's got a little pouch in it that you can launch those rocks with. And it just feels like you're being pulled back. You're doing it by choice. We did it by choice. So we worked together through this process, and it feels like it's never going to end. And it just feels like you're going the wrong direction. And that's how we felt. We knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel because that's just how this goes. You know that you only have so long for training, and then you get out and practice. But in the day in and day out, it just, as we continue to watch all of our friends make strides in their different work circumstances, and they were getting to the ends of their stuff well ahead of us. They were getting further along in their businesses, or further along in their life choices, whatever it may be. They were seeing all these different successes, and we were just making not a ton of money, struggling on a daily basis to, Julie tells a story one time of, are we even going to be able to afford to buy a bunch of bananas, or maybe we just get a couple bananas because we didn't have enough for groceries, it felt like. And so at the end of the day, the pullback is that phase where you're just like, oh my word, is this ever going to end? Am I ever going to get past this? And in that phase, there's 5 principles that we discuss specifically, 5 principles in the pullback phase, and the ones that are critical to understand and to maintain focus on during the pullback, so that when you're during residency, during med school, it's not all applicable. Obviously, it's not all applicable, or not completely applicable for everyone's not a physician. Everyone's not an orthopedic surgeon. So the applicability of this across the board is such that it allows people to apply these principles in their business. It doesn't have to be medicine. It can be any business venture. It can be anything you're trying to do for your health and fitness. It can be anything you're trying to do with lifestyle change or lifestyle modifications. So it takes discipline. That's one of the critical things we've talked about already in the Slingshot Principles is discipline. Sacrifice. We talk about delayed gratification. We talk about preparation and having a foundation. Those are those 5 critical principles that we discuss. And there's a handout that we have. But in the pullback phase specifically, it is discipline, delayed gratification, sacrifice, preparation, and foundation. Without those, it is very difficult for you to maintain and sustain the pullback phase. So again, we had that. My wife and I would look at each other, and it's, day by day, month by month, year by year. 5 years of orthopedic residency is a long process, but we all have these pullback phases in our lives. So it takes discipline, sacrifice, delayed gratification, and preparation, as well as foundation, to make it through and to be able to sustain and withstand that pullback phase, being pulled back. Okay. And not interchangeably, but when we jump over to phase 2, the alignment phase, it's important to note that the pullback is important as long as you're aiming at the right target, right? So the alignment phase, you've got to make sure that you have your alignment correct. So that's why the pullback and the alignment phase we talk about kind of going hand in hand. You've got to have your right trajectory, the right direction that you're aiming your target, aiming for your focus. So that's the first principle in the alignment phase, is focus. What are you focused on? For me, it was obvious. I was going to be a physician, and then through med school and clinical clerkships that I went through, I dialed in and knew that I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. So that was my focus. And then I got into the orthopedic residency, and then my focus in orthopedic residency is to learn as much orthopedics as possible, to focus in on what that pullback was allowing me to accomplish, which eventually is going to be the launch. But I had to have focus. So my alignment was focused in on that ultimate goal. So you have to have that in order to maintain and sustain the pullback. You got to have the right alignment. Otherwise, your pullback in the wrong direction is not going to do you any good. You'll still learn patience. You'll still learn discipline, but you need to make sure, and in order to get the target that you're shooting for, you're aligned correctly. So focus, direction, building the correct skills. Direction and focus go together. Building skills, building relationships, and building habits. So those are the 5 principles specifically with the alignment phase. And I'll be honest with you, the applicability of what I did in orthopedics applies across the board in any business or in any venture that you're looking for. Anything that you're trying to improve on, you have to have focus, you have to have direction, you have to build the skills. It's not just going to happen without you working for it. You're not just automatically going to obtain this stuff. So the alignment allows you to focus in, have the right direction, build the skills, build the relationships, and build the habits that are going to allow you to maintain that pullback, maintain the alignment. And then the fun comes. The fun is being there when the launch happens. Many of you have been on an airplane, okay? Many of you have, obviously, if you've been on an airplane, there is a takeoff and a landing. The takeoff is for me, one of the most fun parts of the flight, because you go from 0 to whatever the speed is that those guys take off those planes at, depending. I've been on small planes, big planes, propellers, and jet planes. It's like driving in a Tesla. It's the same principle. That launch is so much fun when you have paid the price, when you've held yourself back in that pullback phase, when you're aligned correctly, when your alignment, phase 2, is pointed right where you need it to be able to let go of that slingshot and launch just like that plane does, and it takes off at that significant acceleration. That is where all the fun starts to happen. The fun is not really, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't sitting there thinking, boy, this is so fun in residency. I was thinking, boy, when is this going to end? How soon can I get on to the next phase? And that's another discussion we'll have down the road, is maintaining that focus even when times are tough. But you know that there is a future coming that you're so excited for, and that is the launch. So phase 3, the launch, so fun. It's probably that's the ultimate piece, other than the exponential impact that you can have after that, because the launch is the best thing that's coming after the first 2 phases. So phase 3, the launch, deals with momentum, deals with leverage, deals with acceleration, and deals with results. So those are 4 principles in that one. For us, the launch happened when we finished residency, okay? My wife and I, we had 6 kids at the time before we moved out to Tennessee. We finished up in Detroit, and we moved down. And finally, we had a contract to be employed at the hospital here locally where we live in Middle Tennessee. Money started coming in. We were able to buy a house that was big enough for the entire family. We were able to maintain a lifestyle that we had hoped for during that pullback and alignment phase. And to be brutally honest with you, we sucked it up for a long time during undergrad, med school, and residency, knowing that this launch phase was coming. And so that's what coined the Slingshot Principles, the Slingshot phenomenon. And that's what we were shooting for. So we knew the day was coming, and we've been there since, which is so fun. It's been awesome. We've had such momentum. But you think about it, going back to the analogy of the airplane, I mean, there's enough acceleration in those flights when you're sitting on the tarmac and you've been cleared for departure, right? We hear that. Anyone who's been on a plane hears that all the time. all right, we're next in line, and now we've been cleared for departure. And when they push that, what's it called, the accelerator bar forward to get the plane to a certain point to take off, the speed is fun. The speed and acceleration is unbelievable. Truly, I got a good friend of mine. I do drive a Tesla. Good friend of mine who got in there with me once, who was a fighter pilot and has retired from the Air Force. And I punched the accelerator on the Tesla, and he told me that the only thing that he could compare that type of acceleration to was when he was flying planes in the military, when he was in the Air Force. So that kind of fun that you have with the acceleration like that, truly, I've done it with multiple friends and family where we just punched that Tesla. The acceleration makes you giggle. It just makes you laugh because it's so fast. That's what we're hoping for. It is so much fun to watch this launch. And so, boom, acceleration happens. The momentum that goes on with that. There is positive momentum that comes as a result of you staying to your tasks, staying with that pullback during the entire process, maintaining that alignment in phase 2, and then watching as the launch happens. Being there for that launch, it's the most fun that you can probably have in a business thing, in a fitness thing, in a health and lifestyle thing, relationships. This applies to all of those. So prepare for the launch by doing the pullback correctly and maintain your alignment and watch what happens. So momentum, leverage, acceleration, and results. It is the most fun you can have. That launch, you don't think it's going to come. You keep wondering, is this ever going to hit? And then when it does, you remember, this is what it was all worth. This is what it was all for, was this point right now for the launch. There's other examples we can give with regards to the launch, but that's my personal example. And this is where this stemmed from, was from my orthopedic training. Now, since that launch, and for you guys as you look at the next phase for yourself, that fourth phase, and maybe arguably more fun than the launch, is the exponential growth phase, the exponential phase. This is where there's continued momentum, but you have compounding success. You have more freedom, you have more impact, you have leadership, and you have legacy. Those are the 5 phrases, the 5 principles that we think of with phase 4, the exponential impact. The compounding success that comes. I have looked at where we have gone from phase 1 to 2 to 3, and now we're in phase 4. The compounding success, what it allows you to do, because you have found that sweet spot, you have found the ability to continue with the launch and seeing it as it continues to grow. There's compounding impact on that for sure. There's more freedom that you have, freedom to make choices that you wouldn't have had before. This is in reference to something I learned from Dan Sullivan. I'm a part of the strategic coach program, and I've done that for a year, going on the 2nd year now. He talks specifically about the 4 freedoms and what the pullback, the alignment phase, the launch phase, and now the what's it called, the exponential impact phase, phase 4, allows you to have freedom of time, to have freedom of money, to have freedom of relationships, and freedom of purpose. Those are the 4 freedoms he talks about specifically in the training and in his book. There's multiple books he has, but specifically those 4 freedoms are critical, and it allows you to have those freedoms. Impact, you have more impact. You have this exponential growth mindset that allows you to say, boy, I can do so much more with my time and energy than I thought I could, because you sustained the discipline, because you sustained that pullback phase, because you sustained through and had your direction and alignment appropriate, and you were a part of that launch, which is so much fun. Your impact can become exponential. Your leadership, your legacy becomes an exponential impact on people. So that in a nutshell is what those 4 phases are about. That is a brief, this is less than 20-minute discussion on this stuff. There's more to it. Each one of these topics is a topic in and of itself. But phase 1, again, the pullback phase, discipline, sacrifice, delayed gratification, preparation, and foundation. Those are key principles for phase 1. Phase 2, the alignment phase, which goes hand in hand with the pullback phase, is focus, direction, building skills, building relationships, and building habits, strong habits that help to carry you through to the launch phase, which is phase number 3. And in phase 3, the launch is the most fun. It's the most exciting piece of these Slingshot principles. Phase 1 and phase 2 are rather boring. They're mundane, and that's the piece that you have to master, is the mundane nature of phase 1 and phase 2, because the fun that comes in phase 3, unbelievable. And that has to do with momentum, leverage, acceleration, and results. And then when you've done that long enough, you move into that exponential phase of compounding success. So much fun, so great, so much freedom. The 4 freedoms that Dan Sullivan speaks about specifically from Strategic Coach: freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationships, and freedom of purpose. It's critical. You have an exponential impact, exponential leadership experience, and then the legacy that you leave for those that follow behind. So take the time to look at our website. Take the time to read the newsletter and the blogs and the vlogs that we have. This is a critical juncture in your life to think about this and how can I apply these? What can I gain from this? I'm teaching this to you and for an understanding that there are sometimes quick wins, I'll be honest with you. But in general, those that are the most successful people that I know have done it slowly, steadily over time. They may scale and they may scale quickly, but they always go through these same 4 phases because at the end of the day, the discipline that it takes to do this and to have success in life requires you to understand step by step how to accomplish that. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.